Welcome to episode 189 of Build Your House Yourself University by BYHYU. I'm your host and fellow student, Michelle Nelson, and together we'll learn the basics of home design and construction and demystify the building process so we can make smart decisions and build quality dream homes with or without a general contractor. This week I have a rebroadcast of one of my most popular episodes. It's a mini lesson packed full of information. It covers lighting design basics and lighting terminology, and it's a good review for next week when I'll have a brand new episode that will discuss lighting specifically for rooms with tall ceilings. And by tall, I mean 9 feet or higher. Basic lighting design principles need to be tweaked a bit for rooms with tall ceilings, and we'll talk about that next week. But have a listen to this episode, Lighting 101, so you'll be ready for next week. And quiz yourself if you've listened before. Enjoy the best of BYHYU. I love lighting fixtures. I'd have a beautiful chandelier in almost every room of my house if I could, and I might. But there's more to lighting than just pretty fixtures. Lighting is first and foremost functional. I briefly covered lighting in episode 25 called 8 Kitchen Design Mistakes to Avoid. Mistake number 6 was going light on lighting. That's not what you want to do in your kitchen or any other room in your house. In this week's mini lesson, we'll go over the basic rules to follow when choosing lighting for your new home. Now, an electrician or lighting designer will be invaluable in making specific suggestions for your project, but today we'll cover some general guidelines. As with most guidelines, experts sometimes disagree. I noticed when doing my research that one website might have slightly different guidelines and advice than another. So the tips and rules that I'll outline today may be just a little different from what you read or hear elsewhere. But this information should help give you some basic practical tips that will get you on the right path to a well-lit house. We'll talk about the different categories of lighting, where to put warm white light as opposed to cool white light, and we'll go over what size recessed lights are best and how you should space them. Before moving on to the mini lesson, let's go over a few pro tips. Ambient lighting, task lighting, accent lighting, and decorative lighting. These are the 4 major categories of lighting. Okay, our first pro tip, ambient lighting. It's also called general lighting. Ambient lighting provides a uniform amount of light throughout a space. It allows you to clearly see what's in the room so you can navigate the space safely. Recessed downlights, cove lighting, flush ceiling lights, fan lights, and chandeliers are all examples of ambient lighting. The second pro term, task lighting. Task lighting provides light for specific tasks or activities. Activities like food prep and cooking, reading, or doing your hair and makeup. Task lighting provides light in areas where ambient lighting is either insufficient or not necessary. Task lighting helps us complete certain tasks more easily and safely, whether we're cutting tomatoes or walking up and down steps. Recessed lights and pendants, which can be used for ambient lighting too, can also be used for task lighting. And so can floor lamps in reading nooks and pathway lights in hallways and stairwells. Placing a lighting strip on the bottom of your upper kitchen cabinets, called under cabinet lighting, provides great task lighting in the kitchen. Our third pro term, accent lighting. Accent lighting is directed light that adds drama. It's used to highlight objects like artwork and architectural features. Accent lighting draws attention toward what you want to stand out. Recessed lighting can work here too. Track lights and picture lights are other examples of accent lighting. And the fourth pro term, decorative lighting. Decorative lighting is like jewelry for the house. If your main reason for choosing a lighting fixture is form instead of function, then that lighting fixture is decorative. Decorative lighting is added primarily because it's pretty, but most decorative lighting is also functional, even if function is not on your mind when you choose the fixture. Decorative lighting often falls into one of the other major categories of lighting, so some experts don't count decorative lighting as a major category. Decorative chandeliers, pendants, and sconces, for example, can also function as general and task lighting. Whether you think of it as a major category or not, decorative lighting is an important element in most homes. Now that I think about it, with the exception of the recessed lights, all of my lighting choices will most likely be decorative. Is that wrong? I hope not. Anyway, you should take a layered approach with lighting in most areas of your house, always combining ambient and task lighting and adding in accent and decorative lighting as desired. All right, those are the pro terms this week. Before moving on to the mini lesson, shouts out go to Philip M. and Angelo Murrow. Thank you so much for your kind and well-written reviews. That encourages me. And it also lets the world know that you find the podcast helpful. Thank you for that. I appreciate you for taking the time and effort to do it. All right, ready for your mini lesson? Old school incandescent and fluorescent light bulbs are what most of us grew up with. Fluorescent bulbs are those long tube-like bulbs that sometimes make a humming noise. They were often found in kitchens. Incandescent bulbs are those pear-shaped light bulbs that most people think of when you picture a light bulb. They're electric bulbs with a wire filament that's heated to such a high temperature that it glows, emanating visible light. Incandescent bulbs are not produced like they used to be because a 2009 government regulation discouraged the manufacturing of standard incandescent lights. That's because they were extremely inefficient, converting only 5 to 10% of the energy they produced into light. The remainder of the energy was converted to heat. The result was an extreme waste of electricity. Compared to traditional light bulbs, today's energy-efficient light bulbs, such as halogen incandescents, compact fluorescent lamps, also known as CFLs, and light-emitting diodes, known as LEDs, last significantly longer and cost less to operate. In fact, according to energy.gov, a traditional 60-watt incandescent light bulb lasts only 1,000 hours, while the more efficient 12-watt compact fluorescent lamp, or CFL, will last 10,000 hours. But an even more energy-efficient bulb is the LED, or light-emitting diode bulb. It lasts 25,000 hours. Since LED bulbs are super energy efficient and last for a very long time, around 10 to 12 years depending on your usage, I'm planning on using them throughout my new house. Yes, LED bulbs cost more upfront, but the savings over time and the convenience of not having to change a light bulb for a decade, that's worth the cost to me. When buying old school incandescent light bulbs, all we needed to pay attention to was the bulb shape, the wattage, which indicated the brightness of the bulb, and the screw base size to make sure that the bulb would fit in the lamp. Then CFLs came on the market, and we had to think about the appearance of the light produced, most often described as soft white, bright white, or daylight. Soft white has a warm tone of a traditional incandescent bulb, while bright white and daylight are more crisp, with a cooler bluish appearance. And what about LED bulbs? Since many of us will be choosing LEDs for our new homes, let's get a little bit more in depth about two options we'll have to consider when choosing an LED bulb: brightness and light appearance. Although wattage correlates with brightness in a traditional incandescent light bulb, that's not the case for LED products. Since LEDs consume fewer watts of power, wattage does not correlate with brightness in an LED. What we need to look for when considering the brightness of an LED is lumens. The lumen is the unit of measure for brightness, and the watt is a measure of power. So it's the lumen that tells us how much light a particular lighting product emits. Here's a point of reference. A typical incandescent 60-watt bulb emits approximately 800 lumens. So if you want an LED bulb that's as bright as a 60-watt incandescent bulb, you'll need to look for an LED bulb with 800 lumens. Another option we have to consider when choosing an LED bulb is light appearance. What I mean by light appearance is whether the light has a warm yellowish tone or a cooler bluish tone. The Kelvin number will indicate the light appearance. The lower the Kelvin number, the warmer the light will be, and the higher the Kelvin number, the more cool and blue the light will appear. Here's another point of reference. The sun at noon on a clear day produces a light appearance of approximately 5,500 kelvins, 5,500 kelvins. So if you want a very bright light somewhere in your house, you should look for an LED bulb with a Kelvin number in the 4,000 to 5,000 range. Here's my goofy way of remembering kelvins. Lights with higher Kelvin numbers have a bluer, brighter appearance. So I think of the blue sky and the bright sun, which are high up. And the opposite is true with lower Kelvin numbers. Bulbs with lower Kelvin numbers produce warmer, more yellowish light. The ambient or general lighting in a room is typically the main source of light, and therefore a key element in setting the overall mood of a room. Warmer white lighting is often preferred in living rooms and bedrooms to create a cozy atmosphere. Look for Kelvin numbers between 2,700 and 3,000 for that warm, cozy effect. These warm white lights are also a good choice to complement warm, earthy tones in wood furniture. A modern kitchen, especially a white kitchen, can benefit from a more neutral, cooler light with Kelvin numbers in the range of 3,500 to 4,000. These are considered neutral white and accentuate lighter colors better than warm white lights. Warm white lights in a bright white kitchen may make the space look sort of dingy and drab. Studies show that neutral and cool white lights have an energizing effect on people, and therefore this is a good choice for kitchens and home offices. Cooler, brighter lights are also a good choice for the main ambient light in your bathrooms. The brighter light will provide a more realistic idea of what you look like in natural light. Look for Kelvin numbers between 4,000 and 5,000 for your main ambient bathroom fixture. Although it's generally recommended that you use either all warm or all cool lights in a single space, here's an exception. If you take lots of baths and you want to create a warm, cozy atmosphere in the bath area, consider adding an additional layer of warm white light near the tub to go along with the more neutral general lighting in the bathroom. Choose a warm light around 2,700 kelvins for the tub area that can be switched on separately from the main light. Here's something else to consider about LED lights. Not all LED fixtures are built to be dimmable. So it's important to look at the product label and ensure that the fixture is marked as dimmable. Most manufacturers provide a compatibility list that shows dimmer manufacturers and models that are compatible with LEDs. Using incompatible dimmers can lead to flickering lights or insufficient dimming levels. All right, moving on to recessed lighting, the workhorse of the lighting world. Recessed lights can serve as ambient, task, and sometimes even accent lighting. Recessed lights are fixtures that are set into or recessed into ceilings or walls. Sometimes recessed lights are called cans because of their shape. One of the big questions that many homeowners have is what size recessed lights they should use and how far apart they should space them. So let's talk about that. Recessed lights come in multiple sizes, ranging from 1 inch to 6 inches in diameter. Most people building new custom homes will choose either 4-inch or 6-inch recessed lights. Ultimately, the size you choose is a matter of personal preference, but consider this. Larger cans produce broader amounts of light. With broader spans of light, you'll need fewer recessed lights. So 6-inch recessed lights are a great option for larger rooms that need more light, and they're a good choice for homeowners on a tighter budget who need to limit the number of cans they purchase. Smaller recessed lights produce a more narrow span of light, but the smaller lights are less conspicuous, and therefore thought of as more attractive. Smaller 4-inch cans are more often seen in traditional, contemporary, and higher-end homes. With smaller cans, because they produce a more narrow span of light, you'll need more fixtures to adequately illuminate a space. So, go for 6-inch recessed lights if you're more concerned with budget, and choose 4-inch recessed lights if aesthetics are your priority. Now, what about spacing those cans? To determine how far apart to space your recessed lights, divide the height of your ceiling by 2. If a room has an 8-foot ceiling, for example, you should space your recessed lights approximately 4 feet apart. Get it? 8 divided by 2 is 4. If the ceiling is 10 feet, you'll want to put about 5 feet of space between each can. Another rule of thumb I came across says that you should space 4-inch cans 4 feet apart, and you should space 6-inch cans 6 feet apart. Use these rules as a baseline, though. Depending on the brightness or darkness of the decor in the room, the type and brightness of the light being used, and whether you're using the recessed lights for ambient, task, or accent lighting, you may want to space the lights either closer together or further apart. A good strategy is to overlight the space with dimmable lights, then control the brightness with dimmers. Now, let's go over a few types of recessed lighting trim. The trim is the visible edge or plate around the outside of the recessed light. There are several types of trim that you'll have to decide upon. The first is the baffle trim. Baffle trim is the most popular choice of all recessed lighting trims. The trim is great for use in living rooms, dining rooms, dens, and bedrooms. Baffle trim features uniform grooves along the inside walls of the fixture. These grooves are designed to absorb excess light and reduce glare. When in doubt, choose a baffle trim. Next, reflector trims. Reflector trims are used in kitchens, very high ceilings, and anywhere you want to maximize light. Reflector trims use a highly polished, smooth interior trim to reflect and intensify the light produced by the bulb. Adjustable trims. Adjustable trims can be used in general lighting, task lighting, and accent lighting. This trim allows the bulb to move around in the housing unit and gives the user the ability to direct the light to a specific area. And lastly, lensed trims. Lensed trims are used in moist areas. Recessed lights with lensed trims are designed to protect the bulb and the interior of the housing unit from moisture. They're the preferred choice for use in bathrooms, showers, and roof eaves. I'll have pictures in the show notes of each of these types of trim. Okay, finally today, I have 12 lighting quick tips for you that should help you with your lighting design. Number 1, in narrow rooms, place lighting on the short walls of the room rather than drawing attention to the long, narrow walls. This results in a wider looking space. Number 2, for narrow hallways, choose sconces that project light both up and down and use them on both sides of the hallway. This balances the space. Number 3, entries should not be overly lit. Otherwise, the transition from outdoors to indoors can be disorienting. Number 4, don't think only in terms of downlighting, where light is directed downward. Uplighting is also important. Think about adding pendants, sconces, and chandeliers that will cast light upwards. This can help balance the light and make the rooms look less gloomy. Number 5, a chandelier should not be the only light source in a room. Add in recessed lighting to help increase ambient lighting and to serve as task lighting. Number 6, mark your house plan exactly where you want all your lights to go, including recessed lights, chandeliers, and sconces. Number 7, use IC housing rated recessed lights if the lights are going to be placed in the ceiling near insulation. IC stands for insulation contact. When recessed lights are placed in a ceiling that is not insulated, Non-IC rated lights can be used. Keep non-IC rated recessed lights at least 3 inches away from insulation. Number 8. Center recessed lighting fixtures 12 to 18 inches in front of objects you wish to light. A painting, bookshelf, or your face in the bathroom mirror, for example. Number 9. To ensure that you're getting a safe product, look for the UL or ETL mark on the product or packaging. There are many LED products on the market. However, they're not all created equal. The UL or ETL mark ensures that the bulbs are safe to use and have been tested in an independent laboratory. The UL or ETL listing is not required to sell products in the U.S., but if your project is going to go through an electrical inspection, products without those labels can be rejected by the inspector. Take a look at the show notes to see an example of the UL or ETL marking. Number 10. Choose your focal point first. If you have a particular spot in a room where you know you want a recessed task light or chandelier, be sure to choose that as your starting point in your lighting layout. Then fill in the space around that spot with recessed lights. When laying out recessed lighting in the kitchen, for example, you might want to be sure to have a light above the stovetop and the sink. Then fill in recessed lights around those. Number 11. If you prefer to simply space the recessed lighting evenly around the room without any particular focal point, place your first light in the center of the room and fill in from there. And number 12. Do not put a recessed light directly over where you stand in front of the bathroom vanity. That downlight will produce a large, unattractive shadow on your face, making shaving and doing your hair and makeup challenging. The best place to put lights for your bathroom vanity is on both sides of the mirror and above the mirror. Not above your face, but above the mirror. If you can't manage to do both of these, the second best option is to put lights for your bathroom vanity either on both sides of the mirror or above the mirror. The worst thing you can do, though, is to put a recessed light in the ceiling right above your head. Before I let you go, let's do a couple of quiz questions. Number 1, true or false? Recessed lights can be used for ambient, task, and accent lighting. That is true. I call recessed lights the workhorses of the lighting world. They have so many functions. And question number 2, true or false? The higher the Kelvin number, the brighter and bluer the light will appear. That is also true. Bulbs with higher Kelvin numbers produce brighter, bluer light, and bulbs with lower Kelvin numbers produce warmer, more yellowish light. Well, that's all I have for you this week. I hope you learned as much as I did, and I hope you'll keep listening to Build Your House Yourself University by BYHYU. Please remember that the purpose of this podcast is simply to educate and inform. It's not a substitute for professional advice. The information that you hear is based only on the opinions, research, and experiences of my guests and myself. That information might be incomplete, it's subject to change, and it may not apply to your project. In addition, building codes and requirements vary from region to region, so always consult a professional about specific recommendations for your home.